When I think about what I do and what possibly makes me great, if that's a thing, it takes me all the way back to when I was in high school. And I was the captain of the cross country team. And one of my fellow teammates was having some struggles at home. And intuitively, I didn't know anything about emotional intelligence or any of those things we talk about today. I just knew that a friend was having trouble. And I took my time and talked to him, and we became really good friends. And his life, admittedly to me, was much better because that happened. And, you know, that was as a student, but now, many, many years later, I was a pastor for 27 years. I'm a real estate investor. I've been married to my college sweetheart, Michelle, for 34 years. And so now, all these things are culminating and coming together, and I'm able to do a lot of great for the community. And one story in particular I'm thinking about is a good friend. His name's Cliff, and Cliff knew I was a real estate investor. And basically, he said, "Mark, I want you to go to this auction with me." And so I accompanied him, and we were just sitting there, and I was like, "Do you really want to do this?" He wanted to do it. And so I saw a property, and I said, "I think that's the one, Cliff." And he said, "You sure?" I said, "Go for it, man." And do you know that Cliff made that purchase? That was the first property that he purchased. And in rapid succession, he ended up with about 13, 14 properties. And that one was the most profitable in his portfolio. And that's the kind of things we do. That was not something that I charged Cliff for. That was just something that needed to be done because a friend needed some help. And now today, that's what we do for our clients. We take them to a place within themselves where they can't go by themselves. And we're happy to do that. When I think about a setback that I had, it takes me back to my senior year in high school. And I was the #1 ranked cross-country runner in the state of Maryland. And interestingly enough, it was a foregone conclusion that I would, of course, win the MSA championships. And just imagine race day. Scouts from around the country, local and national media outlets posted on the hill. We're ready to go. The gun goes off. Boom. And we start. I lead this race for 98% of the time of the race. But at the end, and let me pause for a minute, my coach was named Larry McCoy. And Coach McCoy, his training to me was always push 10 yards through the finish line. But I got about 2 paces from the chute to enter, and I dropped my arms, and boom, Mike, yes, I still remember his name. Mike ran in that chute, and he got first place. But you know what I learned from that experience? I learned that we rarely are challenged to change anything if we win. But if we have a challenge, we are all about assessing and taking another look. And that's what it made me do. And now, you know what? Everything in my life that I participate in, I run 10 yards through the finish line. Thanks, Coach McCoy. I have to tell you about my dad. He wasn't at home with us at the time. And at the time, I was very confused. I wanted to do something different. It was the freshman year in college. And I went to college just 1 block away from my high school. And I did not feel like I was being productive. And I called my dad and I said, "Dad, I'm really having issues. I don't feel like I'm focusing. I don't feel comfortable." And my dad interrupted everything I was saying, and he asked me a very important question. He said, "What are you going to do about it?" It stumped me because I was doing what I was going to do. I was complaining to him. But he said, no, Mark, what are you going to do about it? And he said, well, I said, well, I think I want to go to Hampton University. And he said, fine, I'll pick you up at 8 a.m. And I said, wait. I didn't know you were going to make me take action. But that's exactly what we did. So my dad picked me up at 8 a.m. We rode down to Hampton University. And I got there and I met Major Moses. And Major Moses said, well, when are you thinking about coming down here, son? I said, maybe next year or the year after, Major Moses. He said, well, we don't start school until Friday. This was a Tuesday, mind you. We don't start school until Friday. Why don't you just come down this semester? And it was interesting because what my father did was interrupted my thinking. And when he interrupted my thinking, he challenged my present state of mind. And once he did that, I was able to see that there was possibility beyond my current situation. And what I want you to know is that there's possibility beyond your current situation. When you work with me, when you work with us, our team, we are able to take you places that you need to go within yourself that you can't get to by yourself. And so let me tell you, my father took me down there. We ended up riding back to Baltimore. He ended up giving me a car. I ended up transferring to Hampton. And boy, did my life change. That's where I met my wife of 34 years, Michelle Holland. That's where I took my degree, got my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering Technology. That's where it all changed and all started for me. And with us, it can all change and start for you. Thank you. A very valuable and important lesson that I've learned in life is that we need to keep family first. And I want to couple that with something. Turn obstacles into opportunities. I want to tell you about my wife coming to me just a few years ago and asking me, she said, babe, we're getting older. And it's true. We're getting a little older. And she said, I think I want to do something other than be the division head where I am. And she was a division head in a school. And the only step after that is being a head of school. I said, that sounds great, babe. But she said, if I do that, it's going to require that we relocate. And what I said to my wife next, right away, I said, listen, you have been in lockstep with me for 34 years, and I love and appreciate you for that. And now it's your turn. And so my wife put her hat in the ring for a position, and she was successful. But we had to relocate to Philadelphia from Baltimore. And that was one of the reasons why I left pastoring. But you know what? I was so happy to do that because I wondered in the back of my mind, what can I do for this woman who has been there for me all of those years? But God has a way of opening doors, because when I decided we're going to do that for you, what's next for me? Up comes this Business Brilliance suite of opportunities. The Business Brilliance Summit, the Business Brilliance Academy, the Business Brilliance Conference, and the Business Brilliance Coaching Program. These are all things that came out of me sowing a seed into my wife. And now a seed has blossomed for me. And so I want you to know that when you give, you can never lose. I sit in the kitchen and study at night. Sometimes I wonder if it's right. All my friends are in the street, but still I study in my seat. I really wish I could go out and play, but I think if I study, I'll have my day, because there's no party in this world. Chasing boys and chasing girls. Is it worth it? I think so. But for now, I just don't know. 19-year-old Mark Holland wrote that poem when he was a senior in high school. And just recently, I was asked by a friend to speak to a group of people. And they just happened to be, half of them happened to be from the ages of 16 to 21. And I read that poem to them. I'm sorry, I shared it with them, and I was supposed to be talking about something else, but when I shared it with them, I got to share with them that during the time I wrote that poem, my sister had just passed away. I was not doing good with my grades. Things were faltering for me. And so I had to ask the question, is it worth it? Now, 60-year-old Mark Holland, he turned 60 years old March 3rd. I can definitively answer the question, yes, it is worth it. I want you to continue to press your way. There's greatness in you. And I believe that with what we have in our business can assist you with business brilliance, because it's not just about business, it's about being the whole person. That's what we work on first. And once we do that, we'll bring that business brilliance out of you. And I'm waiting for you. Let's go. There's a problem out here for businesses. Businesses are failing, according to SBA, at a rate of 90%. And I even had a personal experience some years ago when I was in a cohort of about 30 people, and we had to take a test for business. And what happened was half of the cohort failed. And what I found is that Joe may be a good plumber, but he has no idea how to market his business, how to collect his money, how to do these things that are critical for entrepreneurs to know. But at the time, I didn't know what to do about it. And now I'm at a place where I've been a pastor for 27 years. I was able to stay married happily to the same woman for 34 years, and so that helps me with relationships. I've been able to help people in a lot of different ways. I was in the Army. And so what I want to tell you is this. There is an opportunity for us to get together and help one another. Let me tell you about a couple that came to me. This couple, they had an issue, and it, just for a second, I'm going to get away from business. They had a personal issue. And I'm going to tell you the number one thing that I said to them that was able to help them, that they came back and verified it helped them. I told both of them, please do not get on the phone and air out your business to anyone. Why did I tell them that? Because I could see that they were going to eventually want to get back together and be tight. And they didn't need a bunch of friends reminding them of this, what they just went through. And so I want you to remember that. I heard somebody back there say, mm-hmm. And in business, we've been able to help so many people. Let's just take some of the folk that we've helped in real estate, just for example. Someone's asking me, well, pastor or brother or whatever they wanted to call me, couple hats on. I think I should buy a multifamily, but I'm not sure. Should I get a single family multi? I said, it's your personal decision, but let me tell you the benefit, having experienced this, of having a multifamily dwelling. This is a real simple one. You buy a duplex, one family moves out, you still got income. You buy a fourplex, two families move out, you still got two families income. That's a pretty simple formula. And so we have strategies for days to help people in personal situations, in life, and we'd like to help you. There's a problem. And the problem is there are many people who can have you to zero in and get a fantastic business. But let me ask you something. Should your family falter? Shouldn't you have a holistic approach? I just want to tell you a little bit about what we do. We first deal with the person. We deal with mindset. We deal with how is it that you get yourself grounded and to the point of being ready to be in business. Because business means you're going to have other people's stuff to deal with. So you need to be able to deal with your own. And so the business brilliance concept is all about first getting the individual together. And then we get the business together. And then we get into, if I have a business, how do I communicate? We talk about getting that business strong and having the communication. And I want you to know that my mentor, when I decided to do this, I decided to do it. My mentor in the communication field is Les Brown, and I believe he is the greatest that's ever done it. Les Brown is my mentor, and the reason why I developed a relationship with Mr. Brown is because he is one of the best that has ever done it in the communication space. And what I've learned from him is a very important 3-step formula. Distract, dispute, inspire. Now, this is something that I have interviewed him about in his home and really extracted all of the details about. And now it's a part of my teaching. And we have a summits that we do, the Business Brilliance Summit. And one of the classes is on that subject. And the feedback that I've gotten from people like Julie, for example, she said, Mark, what you just did in 25 minutes was incredible. Now I know where to go with my story. And so that's what we do. And that's what's inside of our academy. That's what we want to do for you. What I have to tell you about going through the making of an entrepreneur experience is that this has been a period of time where my favorite space on earth has been my mother's sofa. Why? No, I have many houses. It's not because I'm down and out. It is because she's 91 years old and we have had the best time. But while I've had to take that time, the professionals at the Making of an Entrepreneur have really helped me in many ways. And the team is solid, and I just would recommend them to anyone. Because when you can take a break, but nothing gets missed, and you come back and it doesn't miss a beat, that's who the Making of an Entrepreneur team, that's who they are. And so I appreciate them very much.